You're going to spin off this planet. I love it. Keep at it.
I said the Lions won a game. Man, we going all the way.
All the way, baby.
We about to celebrate.
Come on, y'all.
Why? Because the Lions won a game, bitch.
Let's go.
I said the
Good
Lions won a game.
evening, Lions faithful. We're back for another episode here of the Sunday Spins. I'm your host, Schnoids, here with BPC and Archie. And the boys are fucking buzzing off a Lions win where we smacked Atlanta from start to finish. We've got a great show for you here today. We're going to get into the game, breaking it down from all angles with the good, the bad, and the awesome. We'll do Dog of the Week. We'll then recap the Certified Ball Knower competition, preview Green Bay, and do picks for this week and wrap up with Hang the Banner. So actually, one thing I forgot in there, RC, is boots on the ground with our lone correspondent that was out there in Ford Field this week. How is it feeling? It sounded loud on the TV.
It was fucking rocking there. And it was a lot better game to go to this week because the defense played so well. And the only time that you can really get live and like loud and scream is obviously when your team's on defense. And
yes.
Whenever you get a sack or a tackle for a loss, the whole stadium just lights the fuck up. And even when we kind of had the game in the bag at the end of the game, we were still going wild. I mean, the non-diehards were like leaving the stadium earlier so they could like, you know, get home quicker.
The classic dad move.
It took me an hour and a half to get home, and I stand
because you love
on
ball.
Yeah, because I wanted to see us win and cheer and clap at the end when we were walking off that field with a W, because we hadn't done that yet at Ford Field this year.
Yes,
but
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, Aiden, you know, got the fumble at the end. We were going wild. It was fun, man. It was a lot more fun than last week. Obviously, the offense could have done a little bit better, but on defense, it was just so cool to watch us just fucking stuff the run the whole game. Ritter running all over the place. It was fun, dude.
It was great. I mean, I think that's a good start on the good. I mean, I think after a week where the defense got absolutely teed off on, they really came ready to play. And especially that defensive line that somehow didn't get a single sack against Seattle, that had all these backups and just had an absolute field day against the Falcons.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, but the Benito Jones one actually caught me off guard. I thought for sure that had to be bugs.
Dude, Benito Jones looked good. Ali McNeil was an absolute problem.
Good bounce back.
Charles Harris got home.
Charles Harris, they heard the hate, and I mean, we said it before, but it wasn't really all that great. Like they played their game and they played well against Seattle, and the offense just couldn't come through for them, but they still came back hungry and violent. I loved that Campbell just kept saying that. It's one of those moments where, like, you know, sometimes you're around people that just don't know ball, and you hear these words and it's just like these football isms that you hear all the time. But this dude just kept talking about how much he loved this violent, hungry team. Like,
yes,
you
could see it. You could see it at the point of engagement, and I think we'll stay in the good category, and we're definitely going to save Aiden and BB for the awesome category at the end. But I think the whole D line and everybody played really well. One thing I thought was very interesting to watch, which caught a lot of criticism in the Seattle game because it didn't work, but panned out a lot better in this game, was they put some of the linebackers, because it felt like they were finding ways to try and keep Jack Campbell on the field. Same with Barnes, and they were actually having them play the Sam position, and they were putting a hand in the dirt, and they were playing kind of that edge position, and that's how Campbell got one of those sacks there at the very end. And same with Barnes. Barnes also got a sack. He was just like they were a hungry team, and you also had to feel almost bad at a certain point for Ritter, because that offensive line was that might be one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, man. Like they were brutal.
They look bad, but I don't think they are.
They're a run offensive line. Like if you look at their grades, like they grade out really well for that. But I think I did see a stat that they're 30 something. There's
Against-
31, 32.
Oh,
in
against a
pass.
pass rush.
Yeah, so they're not built for that for whatever reason. But I know they have Lindstrom in the middle, which that name rings a bell for Detroiters. But he's really good for he's like a Pro Bowl level guard for them, and he was getting eaten alive by McNeil, Bugs, Benito. The boys just had an absolute field day. And then on the back end, RC, did you see this? I don't know if you saw it in the stadium as much, but hardest name on the roster, Infantu.
Iffy
dog.
Yes,
Iffy.
he like for being honestly maybe what is he like our fourth safety? He had a good game, man. Like he came out and played. They put him more in that in like the box position, like coming down, and he made some good hits. He made some good plays. Like
off the top of my head, he had that one big pass breakup when the guy was kind of open, and then he hit him like right when he caught the ball and broke the pass up. I do remember that play.
Put his helmet right where the ball was. Like I thought the whole secondary played really well, and the other in the good category too was just and I feel like we haven't given him his proper due is just Sutton. You don't call his name, you don't really say anything about him because they don't want any dude. They really don't want to throw at him, man. He's
been the most consistent back there.
Yeah,
for
dude.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and that goes back to the violence on defense. You could tell very early on that dude Hollins on the Falcons, the receiver, just did not want to play football anymore. And I think one of those was Anzalone. One of them was that Ifeatu. They on tipped passes, they would just fuck their receivers up. And
that was sick.
And they kept calling for PI calls. I love when fans and receivers call for penalties that are never going to come, and then they just are dejected walking back to the huddle. I think Anzalone had an awesome game and set the tone right from the first play. Dijon just did not want to play football anymore, and it's no coincidence that Anzalone was just getting hits in whenever he possibly could. Same with Ritter too. I remember that one when he was running out of bounds and he got just a clean shot
Jerry
right
Jacobs.
on his thigh. No, Anzalone did too. I thought he was he kind of took over the identity of the defense instantly, and I think I was really drawn to that. My main good though for the game, and I think where we set the game apart is our offensive line kept getting hit in the mouth. I mean, Calais Campbell might be one of the best football players of our generation.
It's 38 now. Whew.
That interior D line was so good, 97 too, and the O line just kept bouncing back. I mean, Glasgow, Ragnow, I think was a little bit banged up and just kept rolling. And Penne kind of got his ass beat a couple of times too by Calais, and then he just finished the game strong. And I think it's just such a strange thing having depth the way we can and the way we do, and we can bounce back from. And just finish games off handily. That was awesome.
To see us go that deep at right tackle, because Penne was playing the left, was really crazy. I mean, you start off with Nelson. From what I've seen from some of the reports post game, I think he might be out for the season. I think he went on IR potentially there. He might need surgery. Still kind of pending on that full report there. But we went after him.
Skipper.
It was Skipper. Yep.
Skipper,
and then Skipper pulled a hammy.
Yeah, and then they put.
And then it was Sorsdale, who's the rookie out of William and Mary. And he was juiced out of his mind. Actually, one of the reporters caught up with him after the game, and he just had the biggest smile on his face, and he was like, "Man, it was so fun to just get out there." And that's such an awesome experience too, to go out there in a game that is in hand, but you still got to go out there and finish, and they did, man. And I think that this speaks really overall to what Dan Campbell's built here from a cultural standpoint in terms of it's next man up. They're all one team. Everybody's itching for it, and Brad Holmes has built the depth out there so that, the guy 2-3 down the line is not actually a bad player. He can still be good enough that the rest of the team can pick it up around them. The other piece is I think we should flip over to the offense now and talk about the good, because I know RC said
I just want to shout out AG, because you got a lot of heat last week. I think a little bit undeservedly and some deservedly, but just put him in the good too, because his seat is now freezing fucking cold after that game,
Yes.
not letting up a touchdown, letting up 44 rushing yards against that rushing offense. They just had a perfect game plan, and they executed the entire game all the way through. And Goff threw that interception, and then we just got the ball right back. It was insane. Like they were just playing out of their minds. So AG's game plan.
I don't have the exact stat, RC, but there is something out there that when he gives you a stinker, that the next game, the defense generally plays pretty well. And I thought one of my favorite quotes and one of the most interesting things that I heard from Dan Campbell after the game was he gave a shout out to the whole coaching staff and everybody and said, hey, I think we all did a great job. And I know I'm not always the easiest guy to work with, but I think the coaches put out a great game plan and really bounced back this week. And someone asked a follow-up question on that. They're like, what do you mean by that? You're not the easiest guy to work with? Because I think we all see Dan Campbell as kind of like this big, like nice grizzly bear.
Yeah.
But he was just like, I just applied some pressure in there and they responded accordingly. And I can only imagine, I'm just picturing behind the scenes, you guys know he probably spiraled on them. Like he probably full scale ranted on that.
Yeah.
And broke it down on the film of how insane it is to just let them, when you're only gave up 14 points to the end of the third, and then all of a sudden fourth quarter in OT, it's like 38 points by the end. So good on Dan Campbell to know that he's not just a positive vibes guy, that he knows how to push the buttons, which I think is a big part of being a head coach, is getting the most out of everybody and knowing when to give people a break and when to push the buttons and get them fired up.
And to your point, RC, I think a lot about how coordinators and their primary position group and how those guys do, and to get like Ifeatu coached up like that, after probably not getting a ton of reps and playing that well, and then Brian Branch. I mean, it feels like Noid, you're going to jump into it with your.
That's going to be the awesome for sure.
But I mean, it's sort of a forbidden forest situation. There's branches everywhere. That's all I could like. The branch is just fucking everywhere, and I mean every place, like these tackles for loss and these pivotal plays, and then the Dijon clip. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw it.
Oh yeah.
They asked him and like, what'd you think when he was running towards you, and he was like, I wanted to make sure he knew that I'm not afraid to tackle him, and I like embrace it. And then they asked him about the flag. He's just like, fuck it, which I like.
Yeah,
it's great. It's funny when I say that, just like with my buddies. Like I want the
flag,
late hit flag. I want the unnecessary roughness. But he just went on and said it. It
was also a bad call because
it was a terrible call. We
Bijan
said that in the
lowered his
first
helmet.
show. I knew that we would get that call eventually, but I didn't think. I thought it'd be the reverse way, and we'd be the running back in that situation. They decided they're like, no, it is the Lions, which. I almost feel like we'll get into the bad. The bad could almost be honestly the refs, because the refs were bad, and I felt like we were getting, let's let the Falcons hang around calls. You know what I mean? Like it felt like they just every time the game was really going to get away and they were driving, they tried to start us in a hole, which was super annoying. I thought that it wasn't an egregiously called game, but it was definitely slanted their way. Should we go to offense? Because I think the offense did some good things out there. I thought that taking a look at Jared Goff, especially in that first half, one of the cleanest halves that he's played in terms of efficiency and dealing. The ball was leaping off of his hands. One of those throws he made to Amon-Ra on the sideline was an absolute dart and in rhythm. Amon-Ra is one of those guys that you're like, oh, yeah, I think he had a solid-ish game. And then you look up and he literally has 100 yards and like 10 catches. Like he's just Mr. Reliable for us. So I thought that looked good. And then it's Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is exceeding expectations and making Cleary look like a football genius out here, because he's leading the league right now in receiving yards from the tight end position.
What league? What league? What do you mean?
The NFL.
He's leading the NFL in catches? Is that
he's leading the NFL in receiving yards from the tight end position.
That seems
That's
like
kind
a
of good. We'll take
I
it.
call him. I'm
I
calling
said-
him SLP now because he leaves me speechless. That one's a deeper cut, but no, I mean Sammy Laporta is he's always open. That's the crazy part is, yeah, the stat I was referring to is like it's NFL record for receptions
Yep.
through 3 games. Which
For a
I just
tight
hang
end.
the banner now. We can wait till later, but I mean, he's only getting started. He's open for twice as many catches. But Goff has got to spread the love. It's so awesome.
He's running people out like over as well, which is where I think
That one
he
block on the
really
goal
is.
line.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's a full step ahead of TJ Hawkinson in that manner. Like I think he's a lot more of, I would say he's more of a Kittle style player versus Hawkinson just it goes down so much. He's more of a finesse player. Like Hawkinson is almost a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Laporta, I've been so impressed with him, and I think what's really funny, I'm seeing almost more his personality is 100% Gronk. Like when he talks, he almost he almost looks
He's like a
cross-eyed as
kid.
well too. It's so funny. He's like 12 years old, but he's one of the biggest guys on the field, and he was watching the replay of that big touchdown catch with Jared Goff in the tunnel as he was going off. And his quote was, he was just like, I just saw it up in the air and I was like, please come down. Please come down. And he's like, I just snagged that, get in the end zone in front of all my friends and family. And it was like an unbelievable moment. So I'm so happy to have that guy.
SLP. Yeah,
And
I mean,
I think that the offensive line also stepped up and deserves to be in the good category. We didn't give up a sack. We were down again. We were down a couple of guys and we didn't give up a single sack. And I also think Jahmyr Gibbs played a good game, and we won the matchup of the first round running backs handily there. And you really saw him at the end there start to get cooking as they fed him more and more, and he started to get in the rhythm and know where the linemen are going to be. And he can run up the middle, man. I was getting a little frustrated because it felt like they were trying to prove a point or something by sending him up the middle that many times. But he was making it work out there. I mean, he was on pace. If they would have fed him 20 times, he would have got 100 yards. I think he finished with, 80 or 70 something. So he looked efficient for us. And he looks like a guy that for some people that are saying, oh, is he just a change of pace back? And how many touches does he ever really get? I mean, he carried the rock like 16 times, 17 times. So he was really good for us.
Yeah. I mean, the offensive line, we stayed on schedule. We didn't necessarily have a dominating game, but on first downs, early in drives, we were staying ahead of the chains and
letting it rip too. When we would let it rip a lot with Jared Goff. I thought they opened up the playbook more downfield as well too. And I think easily as well. You look at it and they put up 20 points, but I also think that they could have put up a lot more points if they wanted to. There was at the end of the game, they easily could have punched in another. They just started to play more clock control and just, tick the clock down. So I think overall a good performance, not great from the offense, but it's a W and it's complimentary football. So that was great to see. I think we can move to the bad. And like you said, RC, I don't think that there's a lot in this category. If you want to really,
I've got one. Just to nitpick. The only thing bad, and not necessarily bad because Goff played mostly a good game, is that the ball was sailing on him a little bit on a couple of those throws. In the post game, he's like, yeah, that was the worst throw I've ever had in my career. And I think he was talking about the St. Brown one over the middle where he just overthrew him and he's wide open. He had another throw that he missed to him, and then
it was close. That one was really close. He just was throwing darts. So it made the timing a lot more precise there, and he just missed by a foot or two. I agree. I saw some people talking about as well, which may be clear. You can speak to this as a former quarterback yourself, is he took a hard hit and got driven to the ground. And then after that, that's when he started to sail the ball.
Yeah,
It,
it's like a long-standing like Nick Saban thing about affecting the quarterback, and it's a very real, and especially like smarter, kind of more down-to-earth guys. Like you talk about guys who are just kind of goldfish back there, and they're kind of idiots, and they can get hit over and over again. They just keep going out there. And this is the second week in a row that Goff got hit hard and then faded away and threw a pick, shortly after. And it's one of those things that you can't, until you've been in that situation, like it's an insane thing to do, to be like, dude, why don't you just stay in the pocket and take a hit? When like every instinct in your body is kind of shying away from that. So yeah, I mean, that's our, Trent Dilfer Memorial can't lose games of the week moment. And I think he's getting better. I think our defense bailed him out big time.
Yeah.
In that scenario, but in other drives there were missed opportunities, and he's able to dirt the ball a lot when plays probably could develop. But I think that is more just situational awareness, that he knows, one, our defense has a lot of momentum, and two, Jack Fox, another like sneaky. This might be a bad part of our team, but Jack Fox is like the best player on our team. I'm kind of kidding, but I'm not. Like, he got
paid like that, man.
We like totally controlled the like time of possession and the momentum of the game, and a big part of that was they never got the ball outside of the 25. I mean, aside from that pick, I think their field position was just trash all day. So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's like something it's hard to coach and hard to like work your way through, and he's overall playing winning football. So
yeah, he's grading out really well, and I think we can move then to the awesome, and the awesome is for sure. Like, we have to start with BB. I mean, he was everywhere. He was making tackles behind the line of scrimmage, multiple. I think there was like 3 or 4 tackles for loss, like 11 total tackles. He had a couple of pass breakups. That one where he got up in the air with the one hand and kicked it away from Pitts was absolutely nasty, man. Like he is so good at playing that hybrid position of playing nickel corner, where he's like, for only being a 200-pound guy, man, he really lays the wood, and he's so instinctual. The amount of times that he was able to just shoot the gap and get to the running back or push the running back the other way was really amazing. And I think that's a huge piece of what we were missing last year, is if you got to either of the edges and you got around the D end, they would just pick up 5, 6, 10 yards. But now it's like Brian Branch there, man. He's shooting the gap and just getting to you.
Our second round picks are just, I mean our first round picks are really good too, but our second round picks showed the fuck out pretty much the first 3 weeks, but especially this game. They're just making Brad Holmes look like an absolute genius. Laporta and Brian Branch just everywhere doing everything. I mean, it's great to see.
And like Branch, like I said, there are plays that he had, a few tackles for loss, but the other plays the margins are so big when he makes these like tackles that they're 2-yard gains, but if he doesn't make these tackles, they're big chunk plays. It was pretty good. I think my you could call it awesome, but I'm saying ugly is just the overall environment in the NFC North right now. You could say it's awesome, but it's ugly out there. Like, even the Packers are a bad team that knows how to win. The Bears are a bad team that might not ever win. And the Vikings are
we'll see this week.
And then the Vikings team is a good team that they're just a bunch of losers now. So, but I mean, they're not going to give us the NFC North at this point. I think that's pretty clear. They don't, if the Packers would have lost, maybe we'd be in an insane situation right now.
Aiden Hutchinson came alive, and that's really a big key to our defense, man, is he's a stud. He's our Bosa level player, and he played like it today. He didn't just get the pressures, which I think he's leading in the league now. He got the 2 sacks, and he got the trifecta for an edge defender, where you get the sack, the forced fumble and the recovery, and then that stanky leg in the end zone. My man's got moves. That was an all-time picture. And also, I feel like as a quarterback, that's just the most demeaning thing. You just get your clock absolutely cleaned, and you look up to see this 6'7" beast just stanky legging on you.
Yes, dude. And he had that just shit-eating grin looking at the sideline. Like, I don't know if you guys are aware of the Divine Child Falcons, but I can say with some certainty that there are some dudes that he went to high school with that thought that was fucking hilarious. And, like, they're all over the group chat. Like, I'm sure they did it at their little, like, you know, freshman year dance. They were all hitting the stanky leg. So I don't know. Yeah, like this is like our like generation's like icky shuffle maybe. Like it's gotten so kind of corny and weird now that it's just funny for us. It's like a little inside joke with our generation.
It's been long enough that it is funny now.
Yeah.
You know, it would be like doing the Gritty in 15 years. Like the Gritty is 1 year away from being absolutely done. I mean, I think I've seen every white sports talk host like do the Gritty now. So, I mean, it should already be done, but I think Jamar Chase and JJ in on the Vikings are just so swaggy that they've kept it going. But that trend is on its way out. So that's the end of the great, and we'll jump into Dog of the Week.
I'll just talk about the running backs. We got Aiden Dennis, dog. Dodie Devon, dog. Sir Hale, dog.
Now I'll go with my Dog of the Week is Aiden Hutchinson. I'll say that again. I think a big bounce back game, and I could see the anger in his face in the post-game interview from last week of the Seahawks when the reporters are kind of asking him some questions that wasn't completely putting the blame on him, but starting to put that a little bit and being like, you don't have any sacks. You guys didn't get home. They had backup tackles and he was just like, just got to do our job better. Just got to do our job better. I could tell he was just internally screaming so hard, and you saw that come to fruition this week, and he got there with an absolute vengeance. So I think a complete dog performance from Hutch. Yeah. You want to go, RC?
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys already know who I'm going to say. It's Brian Branch.
Has to be.
I mean, he's probably the dog of the week for the entire NFL. The guy was on fire. And I'm not trying to take away anything from Aiden because he made a lot of good plays, but I mean, just right off the bat of the game, he gets that tackle for the loss. And then he's just, he made that leaping play and knocking the ball out of the air on Pitts. I mean, they couldn't do anything when if you threw on his side of the field or, they ran the ball against him. He made those one-on-one tackles.
He was playing like a prime honey badger. He was everywhere.
He's looking like everyone got him wrong in the draft, which is good for us, but he's an absolute steal. He was on fire. I mean, 11 tackles is insane and 2 tackles for a loss. It was crazy, man.
Coming into this, we'll wrap Brian Branch with this, RC, is to get him in the draft, we traded up with the Packers, and I have a feeling he's going to make them really regret that in person this week. So I'm excited to see what he's got. Clear, give us your dog.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's everywhere. It's worth saying again. I was thinking about this on the way home from work today. Like my drive on 10. I feel like most golf courses, the 10th hole, there's a lot of trees. You're like getting back away from the clubhouse. Mm-hmm. My drive on 10 after the hot dog, and you're trying to find the tree. There's just branches everywhere. But my dog of the week is Anzalone. I mean, like the identity of the defense did not miss a beat. The identity of the diehards didn't miss a beat because of that. Like everything kind of flows through the defense, like you said, RC. And I'm sure Dijon had kind of had a sense of this, but now the league is on notice. Like if you're a skilled defensive player, you do not want to play the Detroit Lions right now. No. And they made that very clear. He's just flying around any chance he can get to get a hit and to send that message. It was there.
His hit, Cleary, that we said before, he mashed that guy after the ball got tipped. Like, that was one of the hardest hits of the game.
Yes. So, I think that's huge, and it's not always going to pop with numbers. I mean, Branch and Laporta's numbers are speaking for themselves, and it's not a secret anymore. But I think Anzalone's our kind of our little secret. He follows his keys. He's flying around, and he's just
reliable.
There's
a stat I saw today from Anzalone is he tied the Lions record for most consecutive games with 5 or more tackles.
Yeah.
So the guy's just consistent as fuck too.
Yeah.
I believe that. I mean, that's how you get to a 100 tackle season like he had last year. And I mean, he's on pace for that again.
And I think the other thing that really fires me up about both of those guys, and even the fuck it hit that Branch is talking about, like those are hits that don't feel good for a defensive player, and they pop up so quick, and they are like totally unfazed, and they're like most of the time they're not like jumping around and going nuts. They're just like walking back to their spot and just head down and working. So, that like there's
that dog mentality.
That is such a huge thing to have the philosophy and the identity of your coach flow down so easily. Absolute dog. I mean, and Jack Fox is honorable mention. Scrappy dog.
It's so nice that when a punter is like, no, you don't even get a chance to return this one.
And also, RC, you're gonna have to cut this out. Cut this. He's gonna throw a fade in the next few weeks, and it's gonna be sick. And I know we have a lot of Packers fans that are listening, so we'll probably have to cut this out. But be ready for it. He's gonna have a back shoulder. So our gunners are getting home a lot on punt coverage, which like the whole punt team is just doing so well right now. It's pretty awesome
because they're so hungry.
Yeah, but so we're gonna have someone's gonna have their corners bail on our gunners like really hard right at the snap, and Jack Fox is just gonna lay one out there. It's gonna be pretty sick.
It's gonna be electric.
That was one more good thing though about the way that Campbell approached this game, in contrast to the last game, is we were doing everything just by the book this game, which could be considered good or bad, but I mean, he was just playing it conservative. We were punting when we should have punted and kicking it when we should have kicked it, and it was.
I think that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do, RC, too. I think when you're playing against a team that doesn't have a quarterback that can move it downfield on you quickly and needs to rely on methodically going. So it's like, okay, you want to play that game? Then why don't you try and go
all the way down
yards?
The field?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. When you affect a quarterback like that, like when you have Benito Jones and you have these big dudes that are just in his grill all game, I'm sure they could feel that on the field. Like Ritter got tackled into our sideline a little bit, and they can see in his eyes like this man does not want to drive the ball 90 yards. And at that point, you kind of feel it out. And I think Campbell's been doing a great job with those decisions, and I think the numbers bear that out. So.
Yeah, I love that. We'll close that game against Atlanta with this. Is I definitely was on Twitter before and after and reading all of the Atlanta thoughts that they had on it, man. And it was definitely giving me visions of us going into the Seahawks game. Everyone's licking their chops and just thinking, oh, we're going to absolutely demolish this team and we're going to run for 1,000,000 yards on them. And we just threw it in their face. It was great to see that. Also, credit to me for that win. I should also get a dog of the week because I pulled out like verbal meme, like the SpongeBob jellyfishing golden net. I pulled out like old reliable and I just put like $25 on Atlanta money line. I'm like, let's mush them. I've been on a cold streak lately, and it absolutely worked.
You gotta put that in the awesome too.
Yeah, you gotta buy your wins sometimes. You can't be afraid to put some money down, and when you're cold, use it to your advantage.
Perfect bet.
So with that, we'll close out on Atlanta, and we'll look ahead. We'll talk about the certified ball knower contest between us and the Coin. It was an interesting week out there. So looking at the records now, they sit at I'm at 4-6, RC at 5-5, Cleary taking the lead at 6-4 with a perfect week, and the Coin at 5-5. Although I will give a shout out to the Coin there, because there was a minute where I was like, wow, I can completely see how the Coin picked a tie in this instance.
Yeah.
I didn't know if anyone wanted to fully win that Vikings Chargers game, but we'll go ahead and we'll dive in to them. I want to start with the Bears game and Chiefs, actually, just because it's hilarious to me. And you had all the fanfare around this new relationship between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, which just made it way funnier because there was nothing interesting about that game. Some people thought that, they big brained themselves and were like, no, Justin Fields said he's going to cut it loose this week, man. I think that this is going to be a close one. And then it was not even close. It was not as close as the score looked. I believe it finished up at 42-10, man. But it was like 35-0 at halftime. They were just doing anything. And all those Bears fans on Twitter that were mocking us when we beat the Chiefs, and they're just like, oh, you guys should have lost that game. And like, we would have, like, you guys didn't have Travis Kelce out there or whatever. It's like, oh, well, you got beat by like 35 points. So I think regardless, you were way worse and not even in the same category. So that was an embarrassment. I don't know what you guys thought of it.
Yeah, it's so great, dude. I mean, December 12th, I can't wait. And as long as I'm living in Chicago, or no, December 10th, sorry. As long as I'm living in Chicago, this is just going to be a holiday for me. When the Lions come to town, it's
what was it
awesome.
like, Cleary? Wait, have you heard the buzz around the water cooler in Chicago? They have to be suicidal.
I mean, people. I talk a lot. I think a lot about like on a wedding, like or at a fun party with your friends. Like, just don't miss an opportunity just to get out there and dance. You guys know my approach there. Because you don't want to look back and think about the times you missed. Now I feel that way about talking shit to Bears fans. I should talk more shit, And
that's what turned the season around last year. Clearly,
it's like forget. It's funny. Trust me, it's funny. Like it is really funny talking shit now. But it would be so much funnier if I had some takes off and I had more people that like I kind of lured in to be confident in the Bears. So that's my only regret, because it's bad. The story about the like people breaking in, stealing $100,000 worth of stuff, like seemingly by like just breaking through one fence. Like, it doesn't seem like their security
was easy. It was as bad as the Bears defense.
Oh man, it's pretty great. But I think Bears fans, I've seen this grief process. I know where they are, and they're making fun of themselves now, and they know they're not going to be good for like at least 3 years. And
for the record, though, Cleary, when we were bad, which we have been recently, we were always close. It was close, man. To be this bad in the NFL, like the Bears are, like the Broncos were against the Dolphins, is just kind of uncharted territory. I have not really seen NFL teams getting beat this bad before. Like, it's very stinky. Also, what do you know, Cleary, about this situation with their defensive coordinator? The reports have been all over the place about like an FBI raid.
Yeah, you don't want to know, man. I'm telling you don't want to know.
We'll just leave them to their sadness on that.
The reports I'm hearing, you don't want to know.
It's tough, dude. It's a tough scene out there, but I will say that I don't feel bad because they were so mean on Twitter this entire offseason and just refuse to let anybody else have their moment. The Packers were the only respectful team like this entire offseason. Meanwhile, the Vikings and Bears were trying to really puff out their chests, and that's completely backfired, which I think is a good transition to go to the Chargers and the Vikings game. And I think the coin knew this was going to be a close game. I thought the edge would go to the Vikings. They're at home. I think that Minnesota has a good home field advantage there. But it was another game where, again, Kirk Cousins isn't the reason you lose. The offense isn't the reason that you lose. It's the defense was not good, and then ultimately the offense isn't able to overcome it and have like a truly prolific performance where they're able to come out on top. It was a get right game for the Chargers. Ultimately, tough to see Mike Williams go down for my fantasy team, but he put up crazy numbers. They're throwing out crazy touchdowns. It was an overall great game from our perspective too, because it feels like the Vikings, and what I said in the first podcast, that they are starting to get into do we sell the parts territory. I'm really interested to see what happens with them for Denver. We'll get into that after this, but what were you guys' thoughts on that game?
I mean, yeah, go ahead, RC, go ahead.
All I saw was the last, just that last minute from the replay of they got the first down on 4th and 5 or something, and then they ran the clock down, and then Kirk threw the interception. So kind of how either team was either going to lose that game. But yeah, the coin knew. I mean, if it wasn't 4 points, it was 3 points, and they take the field goal there, and the coin wins. So yeah, I mean, just they probably should have won that game. Looking at it in the replay, honestly, but yeah, the Chargers, it was just a kind of a shootout with not a lot of points is what it looked like from the stat sheet to me.
I like too that you just have kind of that base level knowledge on it, like a true diehard that goes to the game. You're like, let me feed you what I saw on the big screen. That's all I got is big screen highlights.
Yeah.
Like true diehards. True diehards just watch the Lions and the highlights, and then make really uninformed opinions. But I think you kept it clean there. I like that. Would you see Cleary from your actual TV pedestal?
Yeah. I'm telling, like, the Vikings just kind of have a stink to them now, and it's pretty encouraging to see.
All those one-score games going the other way.
Yeah. And like they have the weapons and JJ and Jordan Addison and Hawkinson, but there's just something like they just don't have that like the guy that can close games out.
Turns out Madison may look like Dalvin Cook, definitely not Dalvin Cook, and not a real strategy. They're like, what if we just get a guy that has as similar of hair and build as our starting running back, and he's like, gotta play similar.
Yeah. No, I think like
Wrong
the great defense of a few years ago isn't there anymore, and I think that is very evident. Like late in games, we are really lucky to have a few guys that you can just turn to, and they're going to go make some plays. And like they still have Danielle Hunter, but he's like, I think he's kind of slowing down a little bit.
He's definitely checking out. That's going to be one of the first pieces I could see them selling.
Yeah, and you can just see it late in games. They're kind of looking around and looking for their guy to make a play, and they don't really have that linebacking core that they used to have. They don't have
Hendricks
the pass
is
rush
gone.
that they used to have, and it's pretty fun to see. And Herbert is really settling in. My buddy brought up that this is his 4th year in the league. He, in my mind, he's still a very young quarterback, but he's settling in nicely.
Yeah, he is. I feel like he might be. This is an interesting one. He's not quite that stat, but I think he's the year before. The quarterback at Notre Dame who's playing, it's like 24 or 25 with a full-blown beard, I think was literally came out of high school a year after.
Exactly.
Herbert, who's literally going to his 4th year in the NFL, which blows my mind.
Nice.
But we'll wrap it up and go with the last game, which was really interesting. I actually dove in kind of deep and rewatched this one with the Saints and Packers. I was at a big sports bar and watching all of the different games simultaneously, and this was the one that I really wrote off early because I looked at it and it was at halftime and it was 17-0, and then even opening the half, they threw an interception instantly. Jordan Love looked like very human within this game, and what flipped the whole game obviously was Carr getting hurt and then them starting to rotate in Jameson, and they just couldn't find any rhythm, and the Packers kind of leaned on their defense and shortened the field and were able to get back in it. But what's even crazier is I don't know the exact minute mark. They were up 2 scores, like 17-3 or whatever, and it was like 7. It was like 6 minutes left, man. Like the Saints completely choked that game away. I mean, all the credit in the world to Jordan Love and the Packers for figuring out a way to win, but it was one of the ones that they completely stole from the Saints. They should not have won that game.
Yeah, dude, the Packers are there's not a very good football team.
They're a good bad team.
Yeah, they're a good bad team. Yeah, because they're using their money. They've always been a very smart front office, and they're using their money and investing and continue to invest in their defensive line and their offensive line, and that can fix a lot of gaps and a lot of holes in your team. Like Rashawn Gary totally changed the game, took Derek Carr out of the game, and offensively, they still have those like the big fellas up front that can control a game. Doesn't matter who their running back is; it never has. They'll put fucking Ryan Grant, Ty Montgomery, your guys' boy from fucking Michigan State,
Hoyer.
Jaden Reed is back there and taking handoffs and
Reed's a dog, man. I knew that when he was at Michigan State, man. He plays really well. He's a good second round pickup for them.
But he's not. He's playing as a running back in a lot of sets. So they're just a smart team. They're a smart bad team, and the Vikings are a dumb good team, and Bears are double bad. So I love where I stand. To quote Matt Stafford, I like where I stand.
Yeah, their wide receiver core looks pretty good, especially because I think they're going to have Christian Watson back this week, and then Aaron Jones was out that game. I didn't know. I didn't know that. So they're going to have Aaron Jones.
I think
Christian
he plays
Watson.
on Thursday, though.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to play on Thursday. They're going to have Aaron Jones. They're going to have Christian Watson. They're going to have Romeo Doubs. They're going to have Jaden Reed, and then it just sucks that.
No superstar though. Just saying,
Jordan
that's
Love
a nice little core. But
yeah, but it would have been so
nice.
It would have been so nice for Jordan Love to be bad, and he's just not. He's not bad, and he's got a little bit of.
He has the Rodgers tendencies. RC.
He's got that it's annoying, but I think it's noble to come back from 17-0, and you're playing like shit the whole game, and you're throwing picks, and then. You just don't let it get to you. And you're like at home for your first time. I think that was his first home game at Lambeau. And they're going to have a lot of momentum coming into this game. And this is going to be a huge fucking
game it's going to be a fist
Lions.
Fight.
This is going to be a close battle.
The last thing I'll say before we get into the Lions-Green Bay game is one of the Rodgers-esque things that I saw from him, which is it seems like a small thing, but it's actually so important, and so many quarterbacks are so bad at it, is when you're taking a sack or you're getting the pressure, knowing how to move outside the tackle box or knowing like where you can throw it and it's not going to be intentional grounding is huge. And he had that up his sleeve all day. And I thought I could really see the Rodgers in it. I think that pays dividends when you're a young quarterback and you get to see someone and learn the tricks of the trade for that. So I think Jordan Love, from my perspective, I think he's been good, not great. You got to be encouraged if you're a Packers fan. But I think if you're the Lions, man, you have to go out there and really try and make Jordan Love actually beat you, because I think he is still a young quarterback and he's still getting shaken up. I mean, that's my preview of rolling it into the Green Bay game versus the Lions and us going in there at Lambeau for a Thursday primetime game. I think it's kind of absurd that we're playing a Thursday night game again this soon, but that's okay. I'll take it. I like the lights on us in Green Bay. I think this team for the Lions has a lot of experience underneath the lights that we've been accumulating. That Green Bay game to end last year, opening up against the Chiefs. I think we're prepared, and the spotlight will not be too big for us. What I'm going to watch is to see if it is too big for Jordan Love, and to see how he plays when you're not hidden in that little 1 p.m. slate and you got to come out and everyone's analyzing everything you do.
Yeah. I mean, so I do think kind of what you ride and die with this identity that the defense is building. And I think Lambeau on a Thursday and everything that goes into it, we'll have some mistakes on defense. And I think it's going to be a really good game. Like we're getting a little bit more into the man concepts that AG likes, and that's going to open ourselves up for a big play. So Goff is going to have to bounce back. Like our defensive backs are going to have to bounce back. Like our corners are probably our weakest point right now. I love the way Jerry Jacobs plays, but he's
the weak link. Mosley might come back this week, Cleary. That's
I saw. Yeah, he was practicing today. But yeah,
looking at a lot of the injury report, Cleary, and right now for people coming back, is it's like Decker turns out he had a high ankle sprain, and also a bone bruise. I'm not sure exactly how that works, where it's factored in, but he's talking about he wants to play. It'll just depend on whether our medical staff clears him or not. Montgomery's chomping at the bit and saying he wants to play. He said, I've never beaten the Packers while I've been in the NFL. Yeah, because on the Bears haven't beaten the Packers in 10 goes. So he said, I really want to play in that game and I want to beat the Packers. You have a motivated team. So we're starting to get healthy. I think those are two big pieces. And I also think that Kirby probably plays at least partial snaps, at least two. And if you get those three pieces back in, I think the Lions, they should be even better than they were last week. Our offensive line play, if you can get Sewell back at the right tackle where he kind of belongs and feels comfortable, and a Decker at left, I think that O-line will really be cooking, especially in the run and paving the way. We won't have any weak spots. We can go left or right on you.
Okay, so with that high ankle sprain, though, he's going to be out for a couple more weeks then, right?
Well, I mean, we can go to our Dr. Cleary, but I think that he got it on a Thursday night game and he played through it. I mean, that was a 10-day layoff, and then you had another week, and then you had another week on top of that, and then you have this 4 days. So, I mean, he should be very close to good, and it might just be depending on what cocktail of drugs they want to shoot him up on to help him deal with the pain. I mean,
no, the high ankle sprain is effectively, it's just like the lateral part of the ankle. He's practicing today, which tells me that he's, that especially offensive line, you can work through that and play through that a little bit.
Mosley got limited today.
Yeah,
he got limited.
No fucking way. I think that's his first. I think it's
his first limited practice. RC since I think coming in. He did it at the end of training camp a little bit, and he pulled.
And then he re-aggravated.
He pulled a hamstring, which set him back. But yeah, I think he's trending towards it, and it would be great. Even I would like, especially for Mosley, to see. Maybe you don't have to give him the full workload. You know what I mean? Just give him some of the snaps and see who has the hot hand between him and Jacobs.
Yeah. No, it's a big game for the Lions. It's going to be one of those games where, if we lose, okay, we won last week. We still look like a good football team. But if we win this game, it's like, oh damn, like we're really those dudes right now, huh? You know
And
what I'm
it's
saying?
worth
Like
it's
we
worth
really
like
them
1.5
boys.
too, man.
Yeah,
Like
it's
winning in the
-1.5.
division.
You go into Lambeau Field, I don't think it's gonna be, us dominating. It's gonna be a dogfight, but you win
It's gonna
that
be a
football
dogfight.
game.
Yeah.
You come out of there with a win in Lambeau 2 times in a row. You're gonna be like, damn, these guys are onto something right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
this
I
is
think
gonna be fun, man.
this is coming from a different place. This is not the like forgotten like underdog Lions who've like long been beaten down. Like this is where we're better than you.
Have we
you
ever been favored -1.5 in Lambeau? I don't know.
I can't
Been a
remember it.
long time. If true, the
Um,
last time I can remember that we were good and should have won when we were going in there was one of those Matthew Stafford years where I think we actually pulled a backup and we're playing against Castle and literally got that boy paid,
yeah.
tens of millions of dollars because he balled on us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's identity. Like I said, that's my prediction is we're gonna get hit in the mouth. One of those guys, whether it's like Jaden Reed or Romeo Dobbs, is gonna have a big play. And then we're just gonna grind them out. Luke Musgrave is my he's not gonna want to play any more of the week. I mean, that's a catchy way to say that, but
He's been good so far, though.
He has been.
He's
Kind
no
of a finesse
SLP.
guy.
So let's settle that down. He's all right, and he's not going to want to play. Like he's going to go in at halftime. And he's going to be like really sore. It's like this ankle. I don't know if this ankle is right. Like I don't know if I should keep doing this, but I'll play for the team. And we're just going to break him down. Like Branch is probably. Someone's going to get fined from this game.
100%. I saw Sutton starting to. He had at the end in their locker room speeches that the Lions released, which get me so fired up.
Yeah.
At the end, he was the one that was breaking it down. He's like, "This week we're going into Green Bay. That's in the division. We set the tone. We set the tone in this division. Like everybody, get right.
Yeah, the Sutton speech
this week." And I was getting fired up, and I feel like everyone on the Lions roster, it's not one of those things where, hey, we beat Green Bay 2 times last year. I feel like we own them. It's like, no, everyone still feels like we have something to prove, and they know how important divisional games are because this is going to be really big for standings. If you can win this game, you get, like I said, you get 1.5. So it gives you that early season cushion that can help cover up for some potential bad bounces that don't go your way down the line.
Yeah, no, and it's a different statement. I mean, I've said already, but it's a totally different statement than before. It's not like we belong and we're in this. It's like we're way better than you, and we know it.
I'm excited to see how it does pan out defensively for us. I was checking some of their injuries, and their injury report looks like ours last week. I mean, who knows? It's a short week. It's tough to tell who they'll let play and who they don't. I always feel like in the NFL, the injury report is very suspect because you never know what type of mind games people are playing with that. But I know a couple of their linemen are showing up on there. Their left tackle is showing up on there. I know that Rashawn Gary showed up there and didn't practice today. So they're going to be a bit banged up coming into the game against us. I have a feeling just because it's interdivisional that they're going to be playing their guys. But it does feel good, and it feels like Dan Campbell gambled a bit by dialing up the pressure on his team and going with some of the backup and role players last week and saying, no, I think we can beat Atlanta and I can save my guys for this dogfight in Lambeau. And it's looking like with the limited practices across the board, it's looking like it's setting up for us to really go in there and get a W in a close one. So I'm excited for that. And I feel like all of our picks are going to be Green Bay. Is anybody going Packers? Is anybody on that scared money going for the Packers?
Yeah, right.
I mean, that sorry ass coin might be on there.
That dumb ass coin, boy. We respect you though. We respect the coin.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just he knows that.
Hey, come on, guys. We were talking good about the coin, and we got the win.
We respect him.
We won the coin flip in back-to-back weeks to start. So
he
we're
knows
starting
how
to
we
get a
play.
little coin favor.
He knows how we be playing around and joking.
He dishes it. He dishes.
He knows he's
He
the dog. Come on
knows.
now. All right, so it's going to be obviously the Lions are going to be the heads, and the Packers will be tails. So let's see what we got here. It is Lions.
Go ahead, Coin.
Lions across the board. Let's go, baby.
Go ahead, Coin.
Go ahead, Coin.
The next game we'll dive into, which is really interesting, is Bears versus Broncos for the worst team on earth. I'm really interested to see how this pans out. It's in Chicago. The line is set at +3.5 for the Bears, which I think just tells you how bad the Broncos are. Like, yeah, it really Vegas just threw their arms up on this one, and they're like, I mean, I guess because their defensive coordinator is going to jail, we'll give the Broncos the favorite over the Bears. But I think that this is a really interesting game, man. I said it before, so I'm going to stay consistent that if the Bears lost in that week 2 matchup, that I would not pick them for the rest of the year. So I'm going to stay true to that. And I'm going to think that the Broncos and Sean Payton have to get a win just for the sheer dignity. I think they've paid enough karma to the football gods as far as that comment he had at the beginning of the year, just slandering Nathaniel Hackett and being like, yeah, you guys are like the worst coaching job of all time. It's like, oh, well, now you're 0-3. So enjoy that, which I think Hackett actually got up to a better start than Sean Payton did this year. So I'm on the Broncos for this one.
Yeah, I don't have any money, but I'm going to bet all of it on the Broncos covering. The boos are going to rain down. The whole organization, everything is just falling apart. You guys should see this. It's pretty awesome.
It's a sad state for Chicagoland. Who do you got, RC?
Yeah, Chicago just has absolutely zero soul right now. They're like wearing bags over their heads. I mean, we've been there before where you just go into the game expecting to lose. Yeah. So I'm going to go with the Broncos, although this is an absolute like trash bowl. Like I said, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be funny. The Bears could even win this game. I honestly kind of hate picking. I honestly want the coin to pick the Bears because I think that would be hilarious of them. But, yeah, I mean, both teams look terrible. But, you know, Sean Payton's so goddamn embarrassed that he almost has to, you know, win this game.
You get hung 70 points on you. And I just feel like there has to be a bounce back of some point. Side note, I think Miami is just ridiculous.
I think they're really good
in terms of their offensive like capabilities. It's just crazy to see them this year. So I think that the Broncos aren't as bad as they look there. Like Russ looks like a capable-ish quarterback. They just have the worst defense. But so do the Bears. So this is going to be the worst defense in the league.
Broncos for me.
Okay.
Let's see what the coin has to say about us.
So the Broncos will be heads, and the Bears will be tails in this one. Yeah, likes Broncos. Couldn't fool the coin on that one.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean the coin knows. Even like this is a verbal meme. Spice Adams like hiding behind the tree, like putting his hands together. This is not a hockey town, but in this scenario, Blackhawks ticket office is Spice Adams. Because they're selling tickets, they're already like hyping up this draft pick, and people are moving on. It's going to be pretty funny, and you all should buy your tickets for Chicago December 10th.
Yeah, it's going to be a dance on graves type game in December. I can't wait for that. So let's move on to the final game. It's Vikings versus Carolina. I'm not entirely sure if Bryce Young is going to come back for this game. Yeah, I know they went Dalton, and he kind of went bananas against the Seahawks, although they still did end up losing, and the Seahawks pulled away at the end of that because they're not a bad team, as I keep trying to tell people. The Seahawks are they're a good team. They're not a great team, and they got that win there. I think this is going to be a really interesting one. I personally
What's
The line
Schultz?
is 3.5, and it's at Carolina. So it's 3.5 towards Carolina. So Vegas is liking Carolina in this spot. I feel like the Vikings, again, they've kind of paid their football karma and their debt in terms of close one-game losses the past few weeks. I just think they have to have like a get right here, and that my bet on it is I don't think that Carolina will put up enough points to hang with the Vikings, and the Vikings get like that elusive first win for themselves this year.
Yeah, I think it's tough, but I agree. I think the Vikings are a bad good team, and they're good. They're talented. I think the Panthers don't nearly have that kind of depth. I like their defense. They fly around, and they have a lot of like veterans on their offense. Adam Thielen actually looked really good.
He did. He had a huge game. So did Chark. Chark balled for them last week.
Yeah, so annoying. I played against him in fantasy. Is like 35 points. It's like, why?
He is real good. And Miles Sanders also. Actually, I talked myself into this. I'm going Panthers.
I mean, I do think that they have some fun pieces, but again, that would be crazy. I'm just betting Vikings because it feels like eventually they've got to get one. They don't feel like an 0-4 team to me, so that's kind of the angle I'm approaching it. So, okay, Cleary, which are you on? Are you on the Panthers?
Yeah, I think I talked myself into the Panthers. They're a very like tight knit group. As much as I hate playing against Adam Thielen, he's a good player. Whether it's Dalton or Bryce Love, I think they're playing good football. And I think the Seahawks are a really good team. I think there are a lot of like insights, and I think if there's any theme from last week in the NFL is like you just learned a lot. Like you figured out who people were. And the Seahawks are good. I would go down and say that Pete Carroll is, I think, like the best offensive coach of the past 25 years. So as long as I've really been watching football, he's making Geno look really good, and also like Russell Wilson looks very average right now, and he made Russell Wilson look incredible too, and like down the stretch of that game, they were just so dialed in. And the Panthers hung with them with Andy Dalton, who just another
looks much better than Andy Dalton for the Saints, though.
That's what I mean.
Better.
Because the Panthers have a good staff too. I mean, we all remember Deuce Staley, maybe the dog of the year last year, and in terms of hard knocks. So I like the Panthers.
I see.
Yeah, it's just so hard because I think I picked Vikings last week for kind of the same reason you picked them this week, Schnoids. And I think it's weird that they're not favored this game because I think the Vikings are the better team. So -3 in favor of the Panthers is kind of weird.
They're 0-3.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go the Panthers, but it's going to be the same thing as last week where the Vikings can like score on the last play to win the game. They'll either do it or won't do it. Yeah, Panthers, I guess. I don't like it.
All right, let's see what the coin like. So the Panthers will be heads on this one, and the Vikings will be tails. It likes Vikings. I feel like I'm in good company.
I think you are in good company.
I mean, the coin's good. But...
So, all right, the last thing I want to get in now, we've wrapped up those picks because I just saw it come across as a notification on my phone. Is that Stafford just threw like a 45-yard bomb. And I don't know what you guys feel about it, but Stafford, to me, he's just like that hot ex-girlfriend. You still think about him sometimes when you've seen him dealing early in this year. You're like, maybe, man, like we could still be good together. But you're like, no, Jared's reliable. He's been getting the ball out. He's younger. We can build a family with Jared. But there's something about those sidearm or no looks from Stafford that you're like, God, we were fucking good together.
Yeah. Your mom like asks like how he's doing. Like,
Yes.
do you ever hear from him? Yeah, he's the best, man. I talk about this a lot, but that he was the identity of like the city for a long time, and he still kind of is. Like the way he plays football, and the
I
way he
used to
just goes into
dilute
work every day.
myself. I used to dilute myself, Cleary, because of the way that Eli Manning won those Super Bowls when he was just like a 9-win team or a 10-win team snuck in and then got super hot. I was like, that's the blueprint, baby. We could do that. We could be that. We're never going to be a divisional winner, but Staffy gets hot in the playoffs, man. Who could stop us?
Yeah.
That dream.
I had to. That was a requiem for a dream for us, though, with the Matt Patricia years and watching him just get hurt and watching us just get pulled apart at the seam as all of our good players leave. But it's good to see that it was sad. Last year, seeing how bad the Rams were was really sad. It was like watching your ex just date a piece of trash.
I just want him to be happy.
Come on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to be happy. He gave us some good years. You know, we were like that high school type couple where it wasn't going to work out long term, but it was good while we had it. It was good while we had it.
We were happy. No, yeah, but it's like the Ed Sheeran song, "Happier."
That is exactly what it is for us with Stafford. Yeah. Oh, I have one last thing, and I know you guys are a couple of Michigan fans, so this is a first breaking news that we have on this program. So I'm gonna take our first shot at it, and it's gonna be really funny if somebody has to credit us because I know I'm the first one on this. So. Quick story here. I'm with Scarf and one of his young coworkers, and we're just at Fishbones having a few beers, and we're talking ball. And just kind of like a moth to a light, a guy next to us is just like, "Oh, you guys talking ball?" And just starts getting in with us and starts chopping it up. And it turns out he's actually uncle. And he's
whoa, cut that. You can't air your source out like that.
I need that.
I'll bleep out.
Yeah, do it.
Sources close to the team were telling us that Donovan Edwards and McCarthy at the end of this year they're gone. They're going to the draft. They're declaring.
Really?
So yeah, so that's some hot breaking news, man. That's going to be some.
Do I have to bleep this out?
I mean, he was having a few, and he was getting loose with the lips, man. He was like, Corum came back, and they're splitting the backfield. You know, there's
Higgins is
good recruits behind him, and he's got to go to the league and make that money. So I know Edwards is gone, and it's just whether or not McCarthy is gone too. But that's the quick breaking news, and it'll be so funny if ESPN drops that and just getting in the comment sections on that and being like, actually credit the Sunday Spins.
Actually, yeah, that would be funny.
I'm gonna put it in a tweet too, so I have the receipts on it, and we can bring that up. Okay. Hilarious. We'll fingers crossed. That's like a little back one to put on our pocket as we work our way towards becoming big journalists on this podcast.
Yeah.
Keep your ears open out there, though. You never know who might attract in when you're talking ball out there.
Yeah.
With that, I think we can move to the final segment. We'll hang some banners out there. I think the banner I want to hang from this game is it was you won when you were the better team. And I think that's a big win because there's a lot of times, I think that's what separates a lot of teams in the NFL. It's the hardest league to win in week in, week out. You see a lot of upsets for favorites, like the Colts beating the Ravens this week. But to go out there and beat a team that you should at home, despite the injuries, it's a big turning point for a franchise. It enables you to have some trust and feel like if you lose a game, it's not the end of the world and we can bounce back and go on a run. So I'm happy to hang that banner this week.
Fact. I mean, my banner, through 3 games, NFL record, receptions, SLP.
Let's go.
Sammy Laporta, speech language pathologist. I mean, he leaves you speechless with his play. I mean, he's the best tight end ever. I think that's the banner. Best tight end ever, and then in like some slightly smaller font through 3 games.
The only reasonable take. I mean, it's stat protected there.
Yeah, spot the lie. He's no one has ever had more catches through 3 games.
Facts. RT?
Lions start 2-1, baby. That's a fucking. I don't even remember the last time that happened.
Dude, it's
what is it, like 7 years?
so great. Give me that.
That's
give
an
me that-
absurd stat.
Give me that.
That's an absurd stat.
I know it's not 10 years, but I don't remember the last
It
time.
might be. It might be, dude. I think
don't
we started
know.
really good under the
Bro,
Schwartz years, but
but
that's
you guys-
it's been a while.
So we're right behind we're in third downtown. We're like right behind the field goal in the end zone. And I look up at the banners and I'm looking at them. There's very few. There's like 3, and it says Central Division winner. And I'm like, what is the Central Division? And I'm like, Dylan, we never won the NFC North? He's like, no, I don't think so. Like,
Never, dude.
We've actually, and I didn't even know this. We've actually never even won the NFC North. But let me see the last time we started.
They like to insult stat us.
1991. Yeah, RC, a couple things you may have missed on TV. They pulled up the like, where were you in 1991? Stupid bullshit.
Yeah.
And then, but the other thing, I might get this tattooed. Like banner isn't even enough. The little graphic of like teams who start 2-1, what percentage of them make the playoffs and like win a playoff game or something. It was like, it wasn't even a good. It was like 54% or something. But
yeah.
Just inject.
But
that
I
right
think
in my
1
name.
and 2 is like 20% or something.
Last time the Lions went 2-1, 2017.
Oh
How
my
many years
gosh.
is
Yeah,
that?
it's been a
1,
minute.
2,
5
3,
years.
4, 6 years.
Right in my veins.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we needed that one. RC, the other insult stat is that Tampa Bay has technically won the NFC North more recently than we have because due to realignment they used
Well,
to
I mean,
be
we've
in
never
that.
done it.
I mean,
And
I
it's like-
certainly don't. I certainly don't want to see Baker back in the NFC North.
No.
Can't wait,
That
dude. I
boy-
can't wait
that boy
to
cooked.
play. What? All right, wait. Quick live score check. What is the Tampa Bay game at?
I think they're getting cooked, unfortunately.
Dude, they had to
Um,
come back down to earth eventually.
Ooh,
22-3. I got it on the TV right now.
yeah,
I kind of figured, man. I kind of thought that the Eagles people have been talking down on their defense, and it is a talented defense, despite Matt Patricia coaching it. And eventually, they had to just get over the hurdle of having that shit coach and come out and play like a top 5 defense like they are.
Patricia's a good defensive coach. They're good. They're a really good team.
Is he?
Yeah.
I hate him.
Yeah. Has he ever been a good defensive coach when he wasn't under Bill Belichick? Answer: no. Did the Lions defense literally get worse when he coached us as a defensive?
That was Bobby Quinn,
No.
baby. I do. That was Bobby Quinn. A lot of that.
It could have been both.
He's not a good
It's
head
both.
coach, like clearly, and like that's true. But
He's the opposite of an offensive genius like Andy Reid. Like he's an offensive imbecile, dude. He's so dumb, dude.
He's not the defensive coordinator for the Eagles. He's the senior defensive assistant.
really, okay, take it all
They
back.
gave him the Dwight Schrute position.
Take it all back. I stood up for Bob Quinn and Patricia so much. Speaking of receipts, someone could pull those out because I believe for a long time.
Wait, this is pretty funny. At one point, when we hired Patricia and there was all that hype around it, I was like so in on that that I was literally designing like a fake shirt where it would have been like Matt Patricia on Pride Rock holding up like Matthew Stafford to like the pride of like Detroit City. And it was like that was done after one game as we get embarrassed in the the Jets game where they literally stole our signal. So that was the shortest lived like exuberance of all time.
Yeah, thanks.
Do we have any more banners?
I mean,
That you guys-
best tight end of all time. What else?
The only other banner that I'd like to hang as well too is just I'd like to hang the banner of get a win when your fan base panics as well too. I understand that people get clicks and stuff like that, but so all right, the guy that jumps in our DMs, like the Aiden Hutchinson's burner guy, was melting down on Twitter that entire week, man. It was one of those fire Aaron Glenn guys, like questioning
my God
decision that Dan Campbell. It's like, you're embarrassing, dude. You're a burner account. You're representing this fan base. I need you to be a little bit of a man and not lose your shit until we lose at least a couple games in a row. Like, come on, have a little dignity.
I got one more banner. We had more sacks, 7 than they had points, which was 6, and they kind of just got a lucky little. They got a lucky little field goal at the end.
Yeah.
That's a cool little stat.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah,
I think
that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Oh, I think Tim Robinson. Did he go back to this game? I saw like clips of him.
They were just ripping up. Like you guys just.
We both didn't go. We're like you or me. Yeah, we both were like we need to watch from the couch. Really dial in. Let Ford Field take care of itself. But hell of a win, boys. Hell of a show.
Let's ride.
Pick it up next week. Let's beat Green Bay.
Let's go.
You're going to spin off this planet. I love it. Keep at it.
Okay, all right.
Dope shit like that, Germ. Oh, hi. Welcome back to Kids. Follow your dreams.